what it means to be an American. America is freedom, and freedom is special and rare.
We, the people of this great nation.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
We, the people of this great nation.
Good morning, my fellow Americans. Well, there is a lot of news to talk about. Very, very interesting events are occurring. I'm assuming I pre-record this every day, so I'm assuming by now the market has crashed. The stock market has crashed. This chaotic GameStop, Robinhood blockage. I don't know if most people know what that's about. Basically, people the average American invested in GameStop, and a lot of the elites and hedge funds took a major hit. So what they did is they started playing with the stock market. I don't know too much about stocks, but I know that they basically dumped a bunch of stocks to make the value drop, so then they can rebuy it again so the value goes back up. And then places such as Robinhood weren't allowing people to purchase those stocks, like the average American. And I'm sorry, bro, anybody on the left or right should be really upset with this. I mean, this is literally not a free market, like far from it. The elites definitely decided on how they were going to handle and make sure that they did not lose any money on this. That being said, I mean, just alone, already the New York AG is looking at it. So it was so obvious. It was so obvious that everyone had to look into it. I mean, I tried to invest money into GameStop. And the reason, I was hearing a lot of talk about GameStop, and I couldn't figure out why everybody kept I wish I would have invested earlier on it, but everybody kept talking about GameStop stock is going to go up. And then a lot of the people I talked to were telling me, no, they're doing something because they're probably going bankrupt or something like that. And they're trying to inflate it, right? It was quite the opposite. They got a new CEO, and apparently they're going to start digitally selling games. And it's going to be a platform unlike anything we've seen. So therefore, that's why the stocks went up and people jumped all over it. Reddit gave some information, the website Reddit, and then Elon Musk kind of like hinted, and it went crazy. And it wasn't just Robinhood, because when I tried to do it, I don't buy stocks myself. I have somebody who handles that for me. But I was like, you know what? I want to invest Qanon's $2,000 in something else. So I went ahead and I bought $1,000 worth of stock and $1,000 worth of stock on something else. Neither one of them, though, happened to have been GameStop. I saw that the value of I try to think conservative. I've never done this before. I'm not a financial advisor. I have no idea of what I'm doing. But I saw that the stocks of Nokia were real low, like extremely low, and American Airlines as well. And I know American Airlines isn't going anywhere. I know the stocks are low because we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I was like, you know what? Let me jump on it now that it dropped so low, and let me purchase $1,000 worth of stocks. And then I bought $1,000 worth of Nokia stock, or Nokia, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's the big headline of what's going on. We'll see if the market crashes. I'm predicting this the day prior, but I think tomorrow it's gonna be chaotic in the stock market, and I probably predict GameStop is gonna probably skyrocket. I mean, it's probably gonna go up real high. That being said, other interesting things on the news. Apparently, before I jump into that, I've got to introduce the one, the only, Dr. Q. It's definitely Q. So anyways, Dr. Q. So, I mean, of course, the fraud, the elites, this is what they do. Nothing changes. Already we're seeing things that probably, this would have probably happened with Trump being president. I think it would not have made much of a difference. What do you think? I'm going to ask you, Q. What do you think of Joe Biden, his apparent change of heart with packing the Supreme Court?
I honestly didn't even hear it. What would they say about it?
Okay, well, apparently he created a committee to to overview the possibility of overpacking the court.
Interesting.
Interesting, right? Because he said it in the campaign trail that he would not do that. Again, now I wanted to go to QAnon stories. Interesting QAnon stories that are occurring right now. Ooh. So,
Tell me about
apparently one of your members, QAnon Shaman.
Oh, he's not part of us at all. So
Well,
didn't bring it up.
apparently this is how little this guy, you know who he reminds me? He's the Q version of what's this guy's name? Cohen, Trump's lawyer. Basically a guy that gets in trouble, can't handle the heat, and then goes ahead and becomes a straight bitch. That's pretty much how I see it. Apparently he says, look at what his lawyers are saying. He's willing to testify in impeachment. So basically this guy apparently that claims to be a Trump supporter flips on charges because now he's seeing that he's going to go to prison. Mind you, this is a guy that's been doing this shit all over the country. And he was walking around, smiling around. It didn't look like he was really trying to take over the Capitol building. It was looking more like he was just trying to show off and look cool with his Viking outfit. Well, apparently he's struggling in prison right now, and apparently he needs to go ahead and betray Donald Trump and try to make it look like Donald Trump was the one that made him go into the Capitol building. Since Donald Trump clearly stated to peacefully march towards the Capitol and protest, never inciting anything.
It's a shame because in federal custody, the quicker you plead guilty, the better.
Yeah, I mean, we both have experience. Just so you guys have an idea, me and him both have experience in this. I've had my past in my life. I'm very open about it. If you guys want to know a little bit about my life, I published a book. I know the title might steer you the wrong way, but it's based on my life and how I changed. It's actually on Amazon. I published this book, I think 4 or 5 years ago. It's called The Prince of Cons by Jace Haber. Prince of Cons. It's on Amazon. You can find a hard copy on Amazon as well if you want to purchase the book. It's based on my life story and how I ended up where I ended up in life. And
so
me and Q kind of met there, so that's where our relationship began.
So basically, what were we just talking about? You just killed me again. You keep killing me with this.
You were talking about federal. You were saying you were referring to how people have to.
You know how it is to basically plead guilty as quick as possible. Especially if it's open and shut. I mean, he's trying to deny that he did anything, and he's trying to blame Donald Trump on what he did. And he's trying to even deny that he's Antifa. He's trying to say he's Q, and he's not.
Well, I mean, he has not been proven. I don't know what the QAnon community is about, but this guy has not ever gone to an Antifa. Like, this guy's been constantly just marching with a Q without a shirt on with the Q on him. I mean, perhaps maybe he's part of a different QAnon conspiracy group or something, not the real deal. But
there's evidence out there proving that he's Antifa.
I mean, what evidence? Again, you always stole this comment. You always stole this.
He was with who the heck was it? Pelosi's.
Oh, yes, I saw that. He took a selfie with Pelosi's son-in-law. Was it?
Something like that.
Grandson.
Like that.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah. And he was involved in the whole thing too. And there's absolutely no way he's anything has to do with QAnon. So he's definitely Antifa, 100%. Like I said, there's more proof on that anyway. So yeah, he's the thing. What my point is that they already have the facts on him, and now he's trying to lie, and it's like he's making it worse for himself. They're going to give him even a steeper sentence, and especially if there's any issues that he's involved, like he's involved with Antifa. And if they get them for RICO, no matter what, he's going away for the same amount of time they all went. They're going away. RICO is no joke. I mean, that's like 10 years or more or something like that, isn't it? Something like that.
I mean, he's definitely in deep shit. I mean, he entered the Capitol building. That's federal ground. Just the fact that it's considered an insurrection, I don't even know how big that. I mean, I'm not even thinking about Rico. I'm thinking about the fact that they went into the building while they were there, while Congress and Senate were in the middle of a procedure.
Right.
So,
That's like an added. That's an added sentence on top of Rico.
yeah, I mean, I mean, it's a little too late, buddy, because apparently already they voted basically that it's unconstitutional. Most Republicans, they don't have 2/3 of the vote of the Senate. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be dropped. On a positive note, though, aside from QAnon's crazy world, Kevin McCarthy met today with Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago, and apparently, from the pictures I'm looking at, apparently Donald Trump's house in Mar-a-Lago looks nicer than the White House. so, but that being said, Trump's putting his focus in the right place. Trump is going to be focusing on the future of the Republican Party. They're going to be campaigning. They're going to unite to fight for 2022, which is key, because Trump is going to need that support for 2024. And if Trump can still pull off his crowd to come out and vote and take back the House, take it to the House, I think we're in a good position right now. Like I think we just hit a hiccup for a second. Look, I'm going to tell you something, and I hate to keep going back to the whole Dominion and fraud thing. I would plead to you guys. I would plead to you guys to look at my YouTube video on YouTube, The Republican Nation. I streamed today. Okay, well, yesterday. Okay, I streamed, and I had a military federal IT guy showing me how they hack. He works for the military, and he works for the federal government as well. I mean, I know that the military is a federal branch, but technically, but he works also. He works too with the military, and he works with he didn't want to tell me what department, but he got on my show. He hacked a computer. He hacked a computer in less than 2 minutes. He was inside the computer. He was using the webcam, and he was literally, and he goes, and this is nothing compared to the capabilities that Russia and some of these countries have. Now, that being said, I don't think Russia hacked anything. I really don't think Russia hacked anything. I think it was an inside job. But that being said, he explained to me that everybody keeps worrying about it, and everybody keeps talking about, oh, it had access to the internet. He said the most dangerous part about the Dominion machine wasn't even the access to the internet. He goes, it was the USB itself, right? Because he says that with the USB, you can insert anything on that USB and put malware inside the Dominion system. And the fact that it's not government protected and it's a private company, it would easily be able to be broken through. And he gave me a perfect example. He showed me how he was able to grab a mouse from a computer and put it into another computer, insert malware into the computer, and actually get access to that computer through a mouse. Literally,
mouse, you mean
a mouse. Yes, just through USB. He explained to me that the government no longer allows laptops. They deactivate the USB ports, and computers can't have USB. And it's been for like a decade like that because of how easy you can get hacked and how easy people can move information. So he said that the thing that he found the oddest about the whole election is the fact that they were using a system of USB to transport the votes from one place to another. He said that's the easiest way to hack, aside from the fact that they were connected to the internet. He said, you saw the videos. He goes, you saw what happened in Georgia, how easy the man hacked it. He goes, anybody with decent hacking abilities can do this. I mean, it's a very interesting video. He's at a level where I couldn't get his name. He explained everything, but he's top notch. I mean, he has clearance to a pretty high level. And you can see it for yourself. This isn't me just saying it. You can actually go see it on YouTube, and you can actually see it. It is a long stream, but it was towards the end where, you could just look at maybe the last 30 minutes of the show, and that's where you really see where he starts getting into it and he starts hacking and he starts showing you. It's very incredible. I mean, he himself said it. He goes, as a military personnel and a government official, he goes, I can guarantee you this election was fraud. He goes, I can guarantee you they stole the election. He goes, without a doubt. He goes, it was so vulnerable. He goes, it was so easy to do. And the way that the numbers were rising, the way that it happened, looked exactly like like a typical hack. Because people go through the firewall. They get a passage. What they do is that they first go through it and they get an entry point. Once they get the entry point, then they can control the system themselves. And we already know in the manual of Dominion that they said that there's external ways of controlling it from outside. So, I mean, even then it was already wide open to being hacked. But I just thought that would be some interesting stuff to bring into this conversation.
Jay,
Because
that's why my computers, the cameras, I always have a piece of tape over them at all times.
that's why?
Yeah, I read something about that. Some FBI was saying about what to do. Always keep it covered no matter what. Because like you said, they can hack in there whenever they want.
And you're scared that they might catch you masturbating?
Not at all. I'm just making a point.
I'm messing around with you, man.
Yeah, I know.
You're
But,
so
that and your phones, everything,
I mean, I look. I mean, unfortunately, anything that's got access to some sort of internet, anything at this point, anything in our generation that's electronic can be hacked. That's my thoughts on it. I mean, there's no escaping it. I think that everything has a. I mean, what I find really scary is I remember a case a few years back. It was actually you guys are going to be familiar with this case. It was the case of the terrorist that shot up the military base in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys recall that case, but it was interesting that Apple was refusing to unlock the phones. And they were the only ones that had access to being able to unlock the phone. To me, I find
Barr
that...
trying to get him unlocked?
Huh?
Wasn't Barr trying to get him unlocked or something like that?
Yeah, and they were refusing it. It is crazy to see a company have that much power where they're not allowing the government to get into a phone of a terrorist.
Isn't that crazy?
This is the world we're living in. I mean, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Well, what I heard is that it's not even China and Russia we really have to worry about. I heard it's Israel.
I don't think so. Israel does
the
not.
biggest cyber attacks.
Yeah, but Israel does not benefit from not having a Trump presidency. Israel does not benefit in any which way. Democrats always turn their backs on Israel. I mean, what Trump did for Israel is beyond anything. I mean, people in Israel love Donald Trump. If you talk to most Democrats, they don't even know why we take care of them so much. They don't understand. But what they don't realize is that we get a lot of resources from them, as well as intel and as well as technology. They're extremely advanced. People don't realize that there's a lot of resources Israel offers it to us, especially intel in the region, and they play a crucial part in the whole Middle Eastern issues that we're having within the Middle East. Something I also find, look, guys, everybody because this has been the emails that I've been receiving a lot, is concern about accountability. And little by little, I'm starting to see a trend here that the truth is coming out. So right now, we have a little war going on in New York City between Mayor de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo apparently instructed people to hide in nursing homes the death reports. Interesting. So they were attacking the nursing homes and praising Cuomo when in reality they were being instructed by Cuomo. And this is causing big problems, huge problems. Even Mayor de Blasio is asking for the real numbers now. So, and Mayor de Blasio's going to lose to Yang. I don't think Mayor de Blasio was ever fit to be running in office. That guy's a joke. So again, I mean, this is the hypocrisy of the left, but they get caught. They always get caught because by themselves they always step on each other's feet. Like they don't even realize.
Because they're so desperate for the much power as they can get.
I mean, look. I mean, people are starting to realize. People are opening up their eyes. Everybody. I mean, look. Everybody in America is like, "What is Joe Biden doing?" I mean, look. Everything is coming out slowly but surely. On everything. Everything is coming out slowly but surely. We're now seeing that people are like, wait a second. People on the left are like, this guy's running way too many executive orders, Joe Biden. Like, it's already becoming overwhelming. Like, that people don't know what the fuck is happening. Okay, so, I mean, it's just, this is right now, I mean, becoming ridiculous. It's becoming ridiculous. I can't even tell you. I mean, look, we have AOC from one side accusing Ted Cruz of murder on Twitter. Apparently, Twitter doesn't censor that because I don't know. Apparently, accusing a senator of attempted murder in a tweet is worse than Donald Trump's having a Twitter account. Apparently, I don't see how that's. I don't see how that's correct, but again, the left does no wrong. The right's always in the wrong, and the left can get away with whatever they want. And this is why we're always angry. This is why the right continues to be angry. And this is why we are never going to unify under these ridiculous people. These people are paying the piper. I'm telling you. And I will repeat it over and over again. Do not lose faith. These people are digging their own graves. We will take the House back in 2022. And we will take the presidency back in 2024. What's that, Q?
I said we're going to take everything back before that. So.
You think we're going to take everything back?
Yeah, especially the presidency.
When?
So, quit it with the damn music, pal. All right. So I looked into. I didn't get to look into Biden's father, but I just saw something today on Biden. Did you see this?
What?
His daughter Ashley.
What about it?
Dude, listen to this. Incestuous pedophilia runs in families, and it looks like Hunter Biden learned his perversion from creepy Joe Biden. Joe Biden's daughter Ashley wrote in her journal last year that she was probably molested, including being made to shower.
The what?
Made to shower with her father, Joe Biden, as a child. She wrote a letter. It's like a note they're showing briefly. It says, "Grade."
Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Do you feel homeless in today's American political world? Not really into either candidate or party? Guess what? You're not alone. Join me and others just like you across this great country for a discussion of politics from a viewpoint that you can't find in today's media. The Middle. I'm your host, Brian Grozier, and I invite you to join in on the discussion by downloading and listening to the Middle American Podcast.
I mean, what in the world? What in the hell are you talking about?
Boys, listen, grade or great maybe, and showing the boys my underpants. Hyper sexualized at a young age. What is this due to? Was I molested? I think so. I can't remember. I can't remember specifics, but I do remember trauma. I remember not likely. It's hard to hear to see what she's exactly saying here. Not liking.
What is your source?
Wuzak, hold on. The Wuzak's house. I guess that was a house that they knew, person, whatever. I remember somewhat being sexualized with Carolyn. I remember having sex with friends at a young age. Shower with my dad, probably not appropriate. Being turned on when I wasn't supposed to be. And it keeps going, but I don't see it, you know? It's on Barnhart.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, I just saw it today.
Well, I mean,
Look it up.
I'm not gonna look it up. That's why you're Dr. Q and I'm just simple old Jace.
Barnhart.biz. Well, for your followers.
.biz?
Yeah.
Wow, that is just ridiculous.
But it's a no from her. I mean, it's literally this is her talking.
Come on, man.
I mean,
you stop it.
Will I stop what?
Stop doing this bullshit. You want me to
It's
keep
fun.
reading it?
No. It's getting boring already. I want to get more into. How was your day, Dr. Q?
No. Listen, this is very interesting.
Anything that ends with .biz is not a credible source. I'm just saying.
This is straight from her mouth. So it doesn't matter what credible, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. This is she wrote in her journal. So let me read this real quick. Hunter Biden has thousands of pictures of his niece Natalie Biden, some of them in lewd poses with Hunter, and naked as a young teen on his laptop. Hunter Biden was having sex with his sister-in-law, Hallie Biden, before and after his brother Bo, whatever, died. And there are emails in which the sister-in-law mistresses Hallie is complaining to Hunter about his inappropriate activities with her daughter, Hunter's blood niece Natalie, who was 14 at the time. So Hunter was apparently sexually involved simultaneously with his sister-in-law and his pubescent blood niece. Another child with thousands of photos on Hunter's laptop, at least 8 young girls outside the Biden family feature prominently on Hunter's laptop, is Senator Chris Coons' daughter. She is already recognizable as a teen girl in the super creepy video of Joe Biden nuzzling and kissing at her father's swearing in. That's the one where you've seen it on YouTube where it was the girl with like the reddish hair and he's like real close to her and she's like trying to like pull away.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I'm trying to explain to you that guy is a pedophile. I knew he was a pedophile.
That's not.
But there's just
that's
so
not.
much more.
That's not straight confirmation. But I will tell you something pretty interesting. So, in reference to go into more detail with the whole AOC and Ted Cruz thing, so you can see how petty the left is. So Cruz was pretty much apparently Ted Cruz is actually supporting her bid for the Robin Hood probe, and her response was, "You almost had me murdered during the riot."
Where's she coming with that bullshit?
Well, because this is their game. This is their game. That riot was so dangerous. Oh my God, people were taking pictures in Nancy Pelosi's house. Again, Hillary Clinton had a bunch of people that died in Benghazi. She didn't see a day in jail. A guy that sits on Pelosi's desk can't even get bail. They're not allowing him to get bail until he awaits his trial. I mean, this is how ridiculous this country's become. I mean, this country's becoming a joke. The world is laughing at us. And if anybody thinks that for one split second, that phone call with Putin and Biden went well, you're crazy. Putin was probably laughing and telling his people, listen, this guy's lost his fucking mind. He goes, we're going to be able to do whatever the hell we want. Taiwan will be property of China before Biden's presidency ends. They're going to take Taiwan just like they took Hong Kong. And this is what it is. This is what a Biden presidency, but apparently everyone in America thinks they made a right choice. At least the actual real voters that voted for him. I'm not talking about the 30 million that just magically appeared. I'm talking about the only 50 million that voted for him, if that. Again, always I want you guys to do something for your own sanity. Every day, just look at one negative thing that Donald Trump, one negative thing that Joe Biden has done and just place it on Facebook. Just go out there and go, thank you guys for voting for Biden. He did this today. It'll be something you'll find every single day because he just continues to do these stupid decisions that are just going to be horrible to the economy. I literally saw today in a press conference, John Kerry lie, and nobody pressed him on the lie. He literally said that that Joe Biden did not cause any jobs to be lost because of his executive order with the Dakota pipeline. He lied blatantly right there in front of the press. Nobody questioned it. Nobody. Mind you, what is this guy doing handling climate change? He's got a bunch of private jets. I don't understand. Yeah, John Kerry.
Yeah, he's been lying about that the whole time. They caught him in Congress lying about it. They basically made him look dumb.
I got a nickname for him too, Crybaby Kerry. Because I'll never forget how much he cried when he lost that presidential run against George W. Bush. So in my eyes, that's Crybaby Kerry. Apparently he was shedding so many tears. Again, we're seeing the hypocrisy every single day. Things are unfolding. We got to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. That's all we have to do. That's all we can do in all reality. Because, there's nothing.
Oh, it is.
Look, the hacker told me something that was very interesting. He's a Trump supporter, by the way, and he tells me that the military overwhelmingly supports Donald Trump. And the military and the intel community overwhelmingly believe that this election was rigged. Absolutely 100%. He says the majority of the people that work by his side do believe that this election was rigged. That being said, he says that he blames the American people for this happening. He says that at the moment that these laws were being broken, at that precise moment, that people should have rushed in there and said, no, I want to see the election. I want to see. And then I countered him and I told him, but how would people have known that this was going to happen? I told him nobody knew they were going to try to steal an election like this. It was wrong and people were pounding on the windows. But again, nobody expected that they were going to do this. He goes, it doesn't matter. They were committing a crime and they allowed it to happen. And I guess to a certain point, we could have all prevented this if we would have been a little more aggressive like the left. But it is what it is, and and it's hard to prove it after the fact. He perfectly said it. It's like he says that it's almost like you're playing poker, right? And you lose a giant bet, and then you find out later that the guy cheated. You're not getting your money back. You're not getting your money back. What are you going to do? You're going to go beat up the guy? But you're not going to get your money back. And you're not going to get justice for it either. Because that's it. It's over. The game is over. He walked out with your money. A little too late. And this is pretty much the position that we're in right now. At least I can tell you, it seems like Trump is still happy. He's still smiling. It doesn't look like
he has the cards in his pocket. He knows exactly what to do, and he's going to do it, Jay.
Now, something I was very disappointed with the Republican National Committee was they're apparently staying neutral. They're not going to endorse anybody. They're not going to back anybody for the 2024 run. So they're basically saying, whatever, like, we're not going to support Trump. We're not going to not support him.
They're going to be thrown out. There's not going to be a Republican Party. I'm telling you right now.
There is a Republican Party. The party's not going anywhere. The people in the party are going somewhere, but not the party.
All right.
You can't. You're almost talking cancel culture, my friend. What are you trying to do? Dismantle one of the greatest parties of our entire time?
Yes.
Okay, then you're part of the cancel culture.
No, it's not just me. I mean, I think they're both going to get canceled. I think the Republican and the Democrat
So you want to
Party.
cancel history?
It's not history. It's history that it used to be. Now it's going to be, something totally
It's
different.
history that it used to be. That is technically what history is. What stuff used to be in the
What
past.
I'm saying is it's not going to be anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Then you're part of the cancel culture.
That's not going to be part of the president anymore.
You're okay. So you support the cancel culture then?
Well, number one, I think the Democrats got so extreme, to the point of no return. And the Republican Party, there's very few in there that aren't rhinos. It's just like they're scared to death to do anything right for the American people, and they're just going to go with the flow. As long as they stay in power, that's pretty much all they care about. I'm not saying all of them, but a very large majority.
But why would they have to cancel the party itself? Why can't they cancel the people that are corrupt and compromised?
Well, I just think those people are going to be in a different party. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
I mean, but that would technically be exactly what cancel culture is.
Oh, I guess we'll have to see, right?
No, that doesn't answer my question. You're either for cancel culture or you're not. I mean, you're erasing a part of history. So because we have people right now that they're not standing by what the Republican Party originally stood for, we should just eliminate the entire Republican Party and start a new party?
I think that
Come on, man.
this whole party thing is I don't know. I think there should be more parties. Number one, they purposely don't let anybody else in.
Ooh.
You had the Green Party before. What other parties did we have before?
The Green Party still exists, buddy.
Well, it doesn't seem like it because it's never anywhere to be found when it comes to elections. So,
Well, they don't have enough support.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, you see, now you're talking like a socialist.
It's not being a socialist. I'm just saying, like.
Ooh, Dr. Q, are we finally ladies and gentlemen, are we digging into this man's brain and finally coming out with the truth? Is this man a rhino or is he a socialist? Which one is it? Because what you're saying right now sounds a lot like countries like Sweden that have a bunch of different parties.
Okay.
So you agree with having different parties like that?
I think that it shouldn't really matter how many parties. I think it just matters on whoever votes for the best candidate. I think it's up to us to choose the best candidate. I don't think we should really have.
Do you
any
think a
parties.
president should have terms?
Of course.
So you think a president should have terms?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think elections should be this long? Elections were never, campaigning was never this long. This was stretched during the Bill Clinton era, going into the Bush era. We never used to report, but the media realized that it's a money-making machine because it makes news and talking about candidates. It used to be a 6-month process. Like we used to literally they used to campaign for 6 months. We vote.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. And that's all. I think I agree with that. That's what it should be.
Well, I mean, Canada,
I think it should be short as possible.
interesting enough, Canada runs campaigns, I believe, for between 4 to 6 weeks. And in Canada, they have no limitations on how long the president can be there. Their prime minister. As long as the people are happy and they continue to vote for that person.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think it all depends on the people. You know what I mean? As long as they have a voice and it's there's no fraud, I think he should be able to stay in forever if they want him to,
Do you believe in universal health care?
Do I believe in it?
Mm-hmm.
I think, my views on healthcare. I don't think you need it at all. As long as you're taking care of yourself. I mean, obviously, emergency health care. Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Like,
ridiculous because there's people that are born with things that they can't control. I mean, do you believe in universal health care? It's a simple yes or no.
I never even thought about it, to tell you the truth. Never.
You never thought about universal health care, which is one of the biggest topics that are talked about in the U.S.?
Well, because people don't know how to take care of themselves. That's why.
Okay, so let me break this down to you, buddy. All the points that you just made right now are liberal points. I'm just letting you know. I think you need to take one of those tests again because you are far from being a conservative.
Liberal or Republican, it's about what's right and what's wrong. That's it.
Okay. So, but again, in this whole conversation that we just had right now, in this whole conversation, you just pointed out like on several things that the liberals want in their agenda.
But listen, Jay, it's not that they want it, Jay. They think the people want it, and that's why they're bringing it out.
But you're agreeing with it, is my point.
But it's certain things, you know. It's like almost like there's a name they give you a name for a certain policy, but they're not telling you what's really in that policy. You know, they make it sound good. Oh, it's universal health, this and that, but they don't tell you what's really in that policy. There's a bunch of other things that have to do with like climate change, or you know, there's all kinds of crazy shit in there.
And you don't believe in climate change either?
Fuck no, no way.
I do. I believe the climate is always changing.
Changes. I believe climate changes, yes. But it's not
that was a trick question. I mean, I read a Forbes article. Forbes already confirmed that the Paris Accord would not make a difference whatsoever. It would only make a difference in a negative way. Hundreds of thousands of jobs would be lost, possibly millions. And it's just not good for the U.S. It'll set us back, and China will continue to gain its power, and it'll continue to gain countries will continue to need them more and more and more. It's very interesting, your takes. I mean, I didn't, I remember the debate you had with Radif, and a lot of the things you were saying, I was also a little bit backed because I was like, wait a second, this guy's kind of sounding a little bit socialist. So you can agree that you do agree with some of the socialist policies then. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. We do have socialist programs in this country. Welfare, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, all that, food stamps, all those are social programs. So there's nothing. I mean, this country does have social programs in this country.
But I want to know what did I agree with that socialist?
Well, I mean, for one, you're part of the cancel culture. You want to eliminate the two-party system that we currently have in this country. You don't agree with the two-party system,
that's not socialist.
Which began through the. I mean, we began through a constitution, and then we decided to go to two different parties. The Democratic Party and the
see, Jay, that's where you're wrong. When we did when we were in the Constitution, the illegal Constitution of the incorporation, that's when these parties came about.
The parties look, just so you know, George Washington was a Democrat. Okay, when we first. When we signed in 1776, when we signed the Declaration of Independence, it was a one-party system. So, and then of course, the Republican Party came out. Right now, Sweden, for example, they have, I don't know, they got like 12, 13 different parties. I mean, it's ridiculous. Right. And then you have a separation of all these parties. And at the end of the day, the majority would be so basically, if we were to eliminate the party system, the majority of the progressives are going to always end up controlling. If we would have more than two parties, the Republican Party would be over and the Democratic Party would prevail. because more people, more Americans, at least voting record, vote more on the Democratic side than they do on the Republican side.
Well, I think we should, the people, of the United States should come up with, some kind of different voting system.
I mean, I think we should do it like Canada does it. Canada just uses paper ballots.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we should definitely do. That's about the ballots, but I'm talking about...
And then you have countries like Australia that it's a law. By law, you have to vote. So, and their turnout, which is crazy, that's why I found it to be so odd, their turnout is 90%.
Well, no, because that's socialist. You shouldn't have to be forced to do anything.
No, it's considered like your duty.
It doesn't. I don't care what it's. I don't care what they call it. That's not considered shit. That's socialism. You are being forced to do something. You understand that?
Canceling our history and our parties is also socialism.
It's not. It's not at all. It all depends on what the people want to do. I'm not saying there's going to be a law and nothing. There shouldn't be any laws.
How do you determine? Because all the people are not going to agree ever on one thing.
Right. But I mean, we have to come up with some way to figure out. I mean, first we have to take care of the whole social media, to make it, legit before we can do any kind of
terminate. I know how we fix social media. Terminate Section 230.
Well, that's true.
They're supposed to be free platforms. Yes, they have terms of services, but they're using it. They're using themselves. They're using Section 230 to cover up what they're doing. Yes, you have terms of services. It is a private company, but they're protected and they get taxpayer dollar and they get benefits because they're under Section 230. But they're acting as publishers, so they're fact checking people. They're censoring people, and it's supposed to be a platform of freedom of speech. Obviously, not violent speech or things that can cause harm to others or death threats. That would be illegal, anyways. That would still be considered illegal under the law. Not just under their terms of service. It's just illegal to threaten somebody. But I just don't understand your stance because you're kind of like flip flopping a little bit. You're doing a Mitt Romney on me, or a Mitch McConnell on me.
As in what?
I don't know. Your views are very odd. You believe you believe the military should be taking over. You're very strong on the fact that you think that the military should be taking over right now the country.
That's under the original Constitution. That's the way things are supposed to be when you have tyranny. That's from a government.
I mean, well, technically, are we under tyranny?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, we are. Explain
to me how.
I mean, it's just look what he's doing with all these I don't know, if they're phony or what, executive orders. I mean,
that's his legal. He's legally allowed to do executive orders.
Matter because number one, everything he stated he wouldn't do, he's doing. So it's almost
okay.
Like
politicians never say the truth. They're politicians. They're liars.
It's still fraud. It's like signing a contract.
No, it's not fraud. It's making empty promises. There's a difference.
It's fraud. You're fraudulent to the whole America, USA, United States of America. It's complete fraud because you made them think something that you weren't, and that's why they voted for you.
Yeah, but most presidents do that.
25%. That's 25 million that voted for him. That's who.
Damn, you even threw it lower than what I thought.
I'm telling you, I guarantee it. I told you before. 75 to 25, guarantee it. %. Remember I told you?
Yeah. It's just I wish you would get a little bit more straighter with your thoughts, like your thought process with everything, because I think that's like a big issue. I'm just talking in general. Like a lot of Americans, they don't realize it, but they have a lot of they agree with a lot of, and there's nothing wrong with that. They agree with a lot of the Democratic views. I agree with a lot of the things that Democrats see. Moderate Democrats, not these left-wing crazies.
Like I said, it's not about what you it's about what you think you're agreeing with, but you're not. because they're just giving a name to a policy to make it look good, but then in the background, it's really something else on top of that shit. That's what I'm saying. They're bullshit. Look what Obama did with the Obamacare. It was complete lies, complete bullshit from day one, and made you think that it's something that it's not.
Well, yeah,
You know
but
what I'm saying?
and that's why they were able to take
too.
some of the parts of it that were done illegally, the Supreme Court, like the mandate.
Right.
That's why they were able to, because you can't force people to pay because they don't want to have insurance, which was eliminated, and they found it unconstitutional, which is fine. But again, that doesn't make it illegal, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I never said it was illegal. I said it was.
You're saying it's fraud.
It's
Fraud is.
unconstitutional.
No, I said unconstitutional. Don't be taking my words.
Come on, man.
No, it's completely against our rights.
I mean, look, we elect these officials in good faith, hoping that they're going to do what they promised to do for the American people. So the way that I look at it is, if they're not doing their job right, we get them out. The people have to get them out. I mean, I just don't see the world the way you see it. You know, like, I just don't. Like, did you know, for example, do you have anything against the Confederate flag?
I honestly never really thought about it.
You don't think about a lot of things. Well, see, I learned.
Much into politics like that.
Do you know that there's two different types of Confederate flags?
No.
Okay. Well, this is why I disagree with the Confederate flags. I believe we should have the Confederate flag in the South representing Southern values and representing the South. We have a war flag, and then we have the national flag. I don't know if you knew that. The one that people wave around, that you see the majority of people offended by, was actually the war flag. Whereas if you look at the actual Confederate flag, it's a circle with the stars and three colors: red, white, and red. So it was three stripes. It looks very similar to the Georgia flag. It has Georgia state flag, but it just has less stars because it was based on the states of the South. So that was the whole issue behind, for example, the Confederate flags. That the ones that were being waved were actually the war flag. It was the battlefield flag, the one that they used when they were in the battlefield fighting the Union.
Right.
But I mean, these are things you have to think of.
Against it? Why were people so against it?
Yeah. So, but this is what I'm trying to tell you, Q. You have to kind of inform yourself with history, because these are the things that changed. History can't be erased. You can't just say, oh, we got to get rid of the Republican Party because the president that we wanted to come out was robbed of an election and this and that. We got to replace the people that allowed it to happen. You don't just get rid of the party, because, I mean, it would go against everything that party worked for all these generations and made us have these ideals that we have and these conservative views that we have. It came from that party. So if we were to start a new party, what would it stand on? The Republican Party stands on freedom of speech, Second Amendment rights. We know what the Constitution. It's the party of the Constitution. We respect the Constitution. We're the party that voted on so many different things that liberated so many Americans and gave them so many rights and so much greatness. Why would you want to get rid of that? Because Donald Trump didn't win an election?
I'm not saying I want to or not. I just think that, you shouldn't really have parties. I think that, there should be people.
If you don't have a party, then who is the leader of the country? And what does he represent? And how do people oppose that?
I think there should be people that run for president, according to, I guess what they stand for, and I think,
and that is what the party is. the party represents what people stand for.
I understand what you're saying. That's a big group of congressmen. I just don't think we need all these congressmen either.
Okay, so you don't think we need a Congress?
No, I just don't think we need.
You realize that that's the balance of power, executive, judicial, all these branches. It's to balance out the power of the government, so nobody can overthrow anybody. That's why right now we're in a dangerous position because that's why we're in a dangerous position because they literally control 3 branches of the government: the House, the Senate, and the executive.
That many. Like, for each party, I don't think we have to have. We need, it was like a couple hundred congressmen, for each party or something like that, right?
I believe it's a total of. I don't want to be wrong here, but I believe the total amount is like 400 and something congressmen.
Right. I don't think
yeah, but they're representing every district. I mean, this is a big country. And if you don't have those people representing that region or that district, then those people have it's literally taxation without representation.
Right. I'm not saying what to do. All I'm saying is that, I think there should be just a more reliable system.
I mean, I'm not trying to give you a beat down here. I'm just trying to figure out where your mind is. Like, I don't understand exactly where you, because I've never really gone into detail with you on any of these type of things. We talk about conspiracies. We talk about, what your Q community talks about, but we never really go in to what your beliefs are in politics. And I'm curious, and I think a lot of the people out there that listen to you with me on this show are kind of curious where you stand on the political spectrum, like what it is that you believe in, like what it is that you stand for. I think a lot of people are curious. I'm curious.
Like I said, I think there should be a more reliable system, and I don't know what it could be. I just think something has to be changed.
But when you mean by reliable system, are you talking about? Do you think a better system,
more honest system? A more just a system that. We can see what's really happening. You know what I mean? Like,
but
like we have.
I think that you're mixing. I think that you're mixing the election results and the fact that we didn't get any transparency and it was a rigged election. And I think you're confusing that with a system. It's too different.
Not at all. I think the fact that we don't get to see the bills before they are, signed, the full real bill.
Well, that's why we vote for these. That's why we vote for these congressmen, and we do get to see the bill after it's been signed. But that's why we vote for them, hoping that they are doing what they promised to their constituents.
We shouldn't have a system like that. There is no.
But the thing is that you hold them accountable because if they don't do what they promised,
what? Get out in 2 years.
You take them out. You vote them out. What's that?
Yeah, but look what happens the whole time you're there when they sign the bill. You know what I'm saying?
Well, then it's about then I'll go to this. Then I'll go. Why aren't Americans engaging more in politics and actually reading these bills themselves and seeing who supports the bills, who votes against, and who votes for it? But you can see this. Like, for example, I'll give you the perfect example right now. We know 10 Republicans voted to impeach Donald J. Trump. Matt Gaetz today gave a magnificent speech over in Wyoming on Liz Cheney, against Liz Cheney, right? So they're holding people accountable because it was recorded who went against and who was for the impeachment. So people are being held accountable. She is most likely going to lose her position in power, which is, I think she's the third most powerful Republican in the House. And it may cost her reelection in the future. So people are being held accountable. For example, I'm very proud of Matt Gaetz, and I think everybody in his district that voted for him is probably saying, damn, this guy really does represent us. So I'm just simply saying that we elect these officials, and we elect them for that exact reason, because we're not the ones that create legislative laws. We're not the ones that put bills on the table. We're not we put them in that position for them to do this for us. And when we realize that they're not doing that, we should be voting them out. But most people don't really know what's going on, and it's really, I don't want to blame everything on them, because we should be engaging and reading more into these bills. I look a lot into these bills. I believe in single bills. I think single bills are the best, where you just have one solid bill instead of packaging them up with a bunch of different things. That I think that we should go. I mean, I think we should go through a system where, if it's for COVID relief, it should just be a COVID package and not throwing in a bunch of other things into that package.
Right. It's nefarious. Completely.
Okay.
Exactly.
But then the Democrats voted all these people. They control the House, so they approved it. And if the Democrats decide, the voters decide, well, that's why we voted them in, and they don't research what they voted or what bill was passed, then this is the cycle that's going to continue to happen. But it's not to blame the people in Congress; it's to blame the people.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. We need to change the system.
But it's not the system. It's not the system that's broken. It's the fact that people are not.
It is the system.
It's
we
not.
let them do whatever the hell they want. We let them get to the point where if you have a certain amount in Congress, whether it's the House or the Senate, they can do certain things. You know what I mean? There's loopholes. That's what I'm saying. There has to be more of a more honorable system. And I don't know what it's going to be, but there has to be some way to counter what's happening.
What I'm saying is that we can't blame the Congress for it or the Senate. We have to blame the people that vote for these people that they put in office. And those people need to have a little more knowledge prior to voting. And I think that this is what we lack in this country. Most people don't know what they're voting for, who they're voting for. And that is the media's job, to be transparent when these people are running for Congress on what their plans really are and grill them on these plans, so we really have an understanding of what they're aiming for. Like, for example, AOC is probably the most transparent person. Everyone knows she's a doofus. She's already made it plain and clear. We already know her agenda. We already know it makes no sense. Now, if people continue to keep voting in her district for her, it's on them, but they already know what to expect from her, because everything she puts on the table is dumb. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I completely understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that,
Like, look, I voted for Byron Donalds, right? He's a new congressman right now. He was a Trump supporter. When they were vetting him and he was doing his local debates here, and he was doing everything, he said he was going to put America first. He was going to focus on the America first agenda. My eyes are on Byron Donalds right now. I'm keeping my focus on him, and I want to know what he does, what he signs off on. He was against the impeachment. He's got a brownie point for me, because I feel like the impeachment was unconstitutional. I think that the way they did it was wrong. I do not feel in any which way that Donald Trump incited any violence, or any insurrection. So I'm happy with my congressman right now. So
that's what I'm saying.
We just have to keep track of this. And I think it's Americans' responsibility to do research and investigate these people that they're putting into office. Because at the end of the day, it's the voters who choose these people to get in there to represent them.
But you really don't, Jay. You only have so much of a say. What I'm saying is,
what you're saying is, if the person, if a majority of people vote for one person and you voted for the other, and that other person's doing the opposite of what you want, that person should be taken out. But that's not the way it works. It works according to the majority of the vote.
Saying, Jay. It's not what I'm saying.
Then what are you saying?
This whole thing with the social media. Now, first of all, we have to get that situated, okay? So we can use that to our advantage as voters and people of the United States, okay? To be able to have words needed to be said when you feel something. And I think social media is the perfect way to do it, but it's just so corrupt now. I think we have to beat that corruption first, number one, and then I think there should be a system where, if somebody doesn't agree with a bill, I think there should be, a certain amount of votes that you can put into, social media, whatever, where these congressmen see it, whatever. They're going for this bill and they're signing, or before they sign it.
You do realize that when the Congress goes back, they do their own town halls with their constituents, right? And you can voice out your feelings to them.
You know what? There's just doesn't matter. There's still ways to get out of it. Okay. There's still ways.
I don't understand, because they always have to come back and show their voters what they accomplished and what they did. And it's then where the voters determine, no, you didn't do this. For example, Jerry Nadler, he ran basically on saying he was going to impeach Donald Trump. Apparently, everybody in his district wanted him to do that. And that is what he did. So again, we can't just hold these people accountable. We also have to hold Americans accountable too. There's always going to be a difference in parties, and the two-party system, I think, is a perfect system. I think it's a perfect system. If we break the system, if Republicans decide right now to break off, we will never win an election again. We will be handing this country over to the progressives and the left.
Well, maybe we don't have to get rid of the parties. I don't know. I just think there should be more transparency. Like what Donald Trump gave us? Because there was no more transparency than that, man. I can tell you one thing. If there was something Donald Trump had, is that he voiced every single thing. And he definitely knew how to use social media to his advantage to let Americans know exactly what was going on. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. I think like the bills, before they sign them, like weeks before, I think they should be, seen on social media so everybody sees these bills. And then people should be able to vote all over the United States on these bills. That's what I think.
So you want to run an election on every single bill that gets passed? Then what would be the purpose of voting for? But then what would be the purpose of having officials that represent your district? What would be the point of Congress if they're just going to write laws and then people are going to be voting every single time?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why we don't need that many congressmen. That's what I'm saying. I think there's a different system that can work with, the American people better. A more transparent system where you don't have to have that many congressmen either. I just think there's some kind of system. I can't say what, because I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, so you're really putting me in this today. Never thought about that.
Okay, look, I'm gonna give you so you can have an idea. Okay, Congress provides the full text of bills from the 103rd Congress, 1993, to the present, and summaries of the bills from the 93rd Congress, 1973, to the present. Searches can be conducted by keyword and bill number. Searches can also be conducted within categories of current legislation, all sources, members, congressional record, committee reports, and nominations. There's also the ability to narrow a search using faucets such as Congress, number, bill type, the statute of legislation, subject, policy area, chamber committee, sponsor, co-sponsor, and party. Results can be sorted by date of introduction, latest action, number, title, and law number. If an account is created, then searches can be saved for later research. A sequential list of bills and resolution is also available to browse. So, and this is from the Senate.gov. So we do have access to seeing these bills.
How many people actually know that, Jay? How many people actually...
That is my point. People need to get more engaged in politics, and people need to care more about what's going on in this country.
I just think there's a better system, and I'm going to look into it before we got into this corporation of after 1871. I think there was a system that was more transparent. I'm not positive, but I'm going to look into it.
I mean, you
The
know,
whole system's fraud.
the whole system is what?
Fraudulent in some way, somehow.
And you do realize a lot of times when these bills are presented, it's live on C-SPAN or some sort of news network where you could see the arguments whether on what your constituents are saying. These all get passed, and you can see them argue towards what they don't like about the bill and what they do like about the bill.
Yeah.
So America, it's the process is pretty transparent. We've just been allowing them to do whatever they want.
Yeah, but you don't
Because
have that
people
much
just
of a
don't
say.
care.
That's what I'm saying.
We do have a say because we put those
Not
people
that
in
much of a
office.
say.
What you want to do is
Something goes wrong,
what you want to
nothing you
do.
can do.
What you want to do is you want to correct a mistake. What you want to do is if you voted for the wrong person, you want to be able to correct that right away. And that's not the way it works.
Well, that's the way it should work. That's my point.
I mean, we
Like I
can't
said.
just because one person, let's say one person signs off on a bill that, and you voted for that person, he signs off on a bill that you don't agree with. What you want to hold them accountable the next day.
No, I'm not saying me. I'm saying like a
I mean, in
majority of
general, a
Americans.
majority of people.
Yes.
But that's not the way it works because you chose
Doesn't matter
them.
the way it works. The whole system's broke.
The
Jay.
system is not
That's what I'm
broken.
saying.
We have
It
one
is
of the
broken,
best
Jay.
systems. We have the best system in the world.
I'm not saying we don't, but I'm just saying like I think the system was different before we got into the corporation system. That's what I think. I don't know, what it was, what it is or isn't.
I can tell you the Senate only used to meet. The Senate only used to meet for once a year. That's why you see a lot more happening now than before. That's why more things are because now the Senate's all year round. So before the Senate only used to meet for certain periods, like they would hold. That's why back in the days it was different because we didn't have obviously the technology we have now and the capabilities we have to get from point A to point B. But the Senate the Senate and the Congress would hold sessions months apart. Like it wouldn't be something that would happen like what happens now that they can get on a plane and go do a stimulus package and sign off on it that same day and then go send it to the Senate. The process was much slower back in the day. So it's just everything's moving very fast, and I just think people just need to educate themselves more, which is my whole issue. I try to educate myself as much as humanly possible on a daily basis. I try to learn as much as possible every single day. I don't try, again, I do this every single day though. Most Americans have families to maintain. Most Americans have kids. They have responsibilities outside of policies. But for the most part, the key here is when election time comes, you got to be very certain on who you want. And you gotta hope that they do what they're promising. And if they don't, you hold them accountable for it. And there's ways of getting people, because look, for example, I hang out with a lot of Republicans here. So I can easily start saying, listen, Byron Donalds isn't doing their job. And I could start rallying up people. You can get involved with the community. You could be like, you could try to primary somebody else in there.
How many people have that time to do that, Jay? The world, the United States is made that way to keep you busy at all times, so you don't think about these things, and you don't have time to take care of them. You understand? Certain people can do that, like people that own their own business. It's a total different story. But I mean, people that are working every day, they have families, this and that. They have so many things they have to worry about every day. Don't have time to do that, and you know it.
Of course, and I completely agree with you. That's my whole argument, that people just don't have the time, but this is why that's why we put these people in office, in the hopes that they do what they promised us originally when they were running for for Congress or the Senate. Like, I keep track of the record. I'm going to keep track of the track record of what my district congressman does. I'm gonna hold him accountable. I mean, this doesn't take. I mean, people waste a lot of time doing things. I mean, it doesn't take much to see what's the new bills that. I mean, how much legislation do they really do? When was the last time there was a bill that was passed by the House? It's not like they pass a bill every single day. You know, I mean, so you have to also put that into the context of the conversation, because it's not every day they pass bills. It's a very difficult process.
That's where the whole term limits thing comes into play, you know?
Term limits are a good thing, and I've always said term limits are a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Because it's a good and bad thing. That's why I have conflict with the whole term limits. And the reason I do is because we all know that all these people are bought and paid for. We know Republicans are bought and paid for by the NRA. I mean, this is a known fact. This is no secret. That's why they're more for gun rights, which I have no issues with that, because I believe in the Second Amendment right. And I'm all for it. But again, and we know the left is paid by big tech and all these big companies. But what happens when you put terms on these people? One, Congress really doesn't, I mean, they don't have too much time in office. It takes a while before you get your feet wet and you learn how the system works. And two, most of these people have been sitting there for such a long period of time. As they stay longer in their seat, yes, they become more compromised, but they also become more expensive. So, so people that are lobbying them have to pay much more money. Whereas if they only had term limits, it would be much cheaper to buy out one of these people, because these career politicians, they count on this money, you know, and it keeps going up. Whereas if they had term limits, you know, people would be taking anything because they want to make as much money as they can in that small period of time that they're running, that they're in that position of power.
Right.
Which is where I go back. Which is where I go back. Which the biggest issue that we have. The biggest issue we have is not so much terms as it is lobbying. Lobbying in general should be illegal.
It has to do with everything, Jay. Not one or the other. I think it has to do with everything.
You can't dismantle an entire system. You can't dismantle a system that's been working since 1776. You can only adjust and fix those things. Okay? That is the way you do it. That is what Trump's plan is. That is what Trump is working on. He's going to dismantle the Republican Party within the Republican Party by replacing them with people that he's vetted and he feels are going to put America first. Look, right now, the left is getting a taste of the complete opposite of what they expected Joe Biden to be doing. The left is right now paying the consequences of that. I mean, everybody criticized us when we voted for him in 2016. This guy was going to start wars. He was going to be the worst president. We took a chance. We believed in him, and he came through. Time and time over, with all odds against him. That doesn't happen often. Sometimes, look, Mitt Romney. I voted for Mitt Romney. Look at what he's ended up being. The biggest rhino that I've ever met. A man that flip-flops. A man that continues to move forward with this whole impeachment nonsense. I'm completely against him. If I can go back through time and I knew who he was, the real colors of this man, I would have never voted for him. Again, voting for people is always a gamble. But this is the way the system works. And I don't think the system is as broken as people think it is. I think our country's divided. And I think our country's headed in a very bad direction right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with indoctrination within schools. I think that we need to do some reform within the school system. I think we need to do prison reform. I'm strong on prison reform. And when I mean prison reform, I don't mean release people out of prison. I mean fix the insides of these prisons where people can come out and start fresh, because once they serve their time, they serve their time, and give them an opportunity to survive in life. I mean, give them a chance. We have the worst prison system I think in the world, one of the worst, at least from firsthand experience. You know, the people that go in there, they learn nothing by the time they get out. They either learn to be better criminals or even worse criminals and end up getting right back in the same vicious cycle with no opportunity and nothing. So, I mean, yes, there's the system, there's parts of the system that's flawed, but nothing in life is perfect. And I think we have a pretty good system. I mean, we're pretty close to perfection. There's some things we need to tweak, but we're pretty close to perfection. The only thing I would be concerned about is that the most important thing that our country stands for, and it's something that we've always taken pride in, is that we've always ran fair and legal elections. And I think that this year went down the drain. And I think most people around the world that were looking at our elections knows it was robbed. And I think most Americans know it too. And that is a problem, and that is something that needs to be handled. But again, people voted and some didn't. Might have been rigged even, but Congress controls it. The Senate controls it. And now the Democrats are creating more bills that's going to continue this situation that we're in right now, where it makes it easier for people to commit fraud during the election. I mean, again, I see us taking the House in 2022 if they fix this whole Dominion issue and this whole mail-in ballot issue. If not, I think we're in big trouble. And I think that's what your main concern is, to be honest, Q. I think that's what your main concern is. I think that you're frustrated with the results of the election because you know it was rigged. And I feel like you want transparency in the sense where, and again, we also want people to pay the piper. We want people to be held accountable for their actions. When they commit a crime, just because you have a strong last name should not dictate whether or not you go to prison. Okay, and I think a lot of these people are in deep with bureaucrats. And I think furthermore, I think that the positions that we have a lot of people, these bureaucrats that we don't vote in, okay, that are the real swamp creatures that work within the FBI, the Secret Service, the DEA, in positions of power that we don't vote them in. They're hired in there. And I think these people they are partisan. You know, they're not bipartisan. They are partisan, and they pledge to one party, and that's what we saw with the Russian collusion situation. These bureaucrats that want favors later, and they do certain things, and they break the rules, and they're never held accountable. James Comey being the perfect example. The man lied under oath, never got indicted. If that would have been a Republican, he would have been indicted.
They have absolute immunity, and that's where we need to change things.
Or perhaps we have weak representatives, and perhaps we have weak Republicans that have no spine and don't fight. And the few that fight later get threatened. Perhaps we're living in a society where people now, if you go against the left attacks you. They threaten your life. I mean, we're living in a very weird time right now, but this country's lived through worse times, and we've overcome it. This is why this is the greatest country on this planet.
We also lived better times, Jay.
When?
Exactly. Before we were into this corporation constitution.
You were there during that time period? You're that old?
No, it's common sense.
How is that common sense?
Because when they incorporated the government on the Constitution, the incorporation Constitution, totally changed things completely. Think about it. That's the Constitution to help the incorporation, not the people, because we're not sovereign anymore.
They did it to be able to negotiate with foreign countries.
Fuck no, they didn't. No way. They did it to take a hold of
That's
our
why
rights.
D.C. is not a state.
No, not at all. It's because they made deals with like the World Banks and everything. You know, I'm telling you, it's completely to go against the Constitution, the original Constitution, to make us so We don't have any rights. We have no say. You think you have say. You think you can tell Congress this and that, and you know, you can vote them out. But when it comes down to it, you don't. You have no fucking say. Not under the corporation. You don't.
You keep talking about this corporation. I'm waiting to see the moment where something comes off with that.
I'm huge, Jay.
I mean, again, we're gonna have a one-on-one when you come visit me over here. We're gonna have a panel of people. It's not just gonna be you. I'm gonna bring, huh?
Are you on your pod?
I'm not on my AirPods.
Oh, okay. Sound like you are.
No, I'm not. I'm in my studio. What are you talking? How can I be on an AirPod? I mean, I could be on AirPods, but I wouldn't be able to transmit it through the podcast.
Right. Going delirious.
Come on, man.
Pretty long.
I mean, I haven't slept. I'm dying, guys. I'm exhausted. If you guys had any idea the dedication that I have to this, I've slept 4 hours. 4 hours. I went to sleep by the time that I uploaded the podcast. And it's 1:30 in the morning right now. I woke up at about 7 o'clock in the morning after going to sleep at 3. And I got to doing my other businesses that I had to do. And then I went straight to the office and began streaming. And this is the cycle that I live every single day. I am really working hard to try to give you guys some good content, to try to enlighten some people out there. If you want change, you got to talk to your community. If you want change, you need to work within the community, and you need to communicate with everybody and let them know what's going on, at least immediate family members, just by spreading the word. Think about how far you can take something if you tell people a certain belief and then they tell somebody else and they tell somebody else. Think about how far that can go. I'm just simply, this whole conversation I had with Dr. Q, I was trying to educate him. I was just trying to tell him that there is other ways where we can make changes happen and our voices be heard by just educating ourselves and knowing what's going on, and just and educating others and pushing that message forward to others within our community. That's all I have to say. Dr. Q, do you have a closing statement? Because I'm exhausted.
Well, I got to, you know, I'm Mr. Resignation. So, I was telling you about the resignations. Today there was another one. James Goldston, he's the president of ABC News. He resigned today. We don't know why, but, you know, like I said, these are very big people, you know, very influential people that are resigning, and I can guarantee that Donald Trump has something to do with it. I can guarantee it. You
guarantee a lot of things, and they never come through.
Well, you know, I told you, it's a trickle situation. Little by little, it's happening more and more, and you know.
I can tell you one thing that I feel certain of. To my listeners, I do feel like the truth will come out eventually. This is something that is at such a large magnitude that it cannot be kept a secret. It's just too big. And we have too many patriots, too many people in the military, too many people that are speaking out, and they're saying their truths about what's happening all over the United States. This will not be kept a secret. This will be exposed. And when it is exposed, we will be able to look over our shoulders, or we will be able to lift our heads up high and know that we were right the entire time. That being said, guys, if you would like to send me any clips, if you guys would like to send me more emails, I enjoy them so much. Some of the emails I received today were nice, but were just more congratulation type emails and thanking me for what I was doing. And Dr. Q as well. Somebody told me to say hello to Dr. Q. So again, if you want to participate, you want to be part of the podcast, the audience is growing. I appreciate people. I get a lot of emails from people that have told me they've been recommended by other friends, and I appreciate everybody spreading the word about the Republican Nation. This will grow. This will be a big platform. I promise you that. I will not stop. I will not stop till my voice and your voice is heard all over the world if I have to. When I put my mind to something, I do not stop. So again, if you would like to be a part of this, if you would like to send a recording asking me a question, if you would like to make a statement, I will give you the floor. Our viewership is large. We have a large, the listeners, we have a large amount of listeners. So if you want your voice to be heard, I will let your voice be heard. I promise you. Uncensored, untouched. If you want to send me an email, you guys know, or it's arepublicannation@gmail.com. That's arepublicannation@gmail.com. By the way, thank you for those of you who sent me donations. I'm not going to name any names, but I greatly appreciate it. I received a lot of donations today. I'm going to show every single person where it goes to. If you guys want to donate anything, you guys can donate it via PayPal to arepublicannation@gmail.com. And it helps me. I'm furthering this. I'm trying to create something kind of like Bannon's War Room, but it's going to be called the Patriot Room, where I'm going to be talking with different people in a round table, recording it and putting it live for you guys. So, and the equipment is extremely expensive. The microphones, everything involved in it is extremely expensive. And any help, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spreading the word. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless this beautiful country we call America.
America great again.